this avenue was put in, and then later, much later, the Park Service builds stone wall. I shouldn't say the Park Service. The War Department builds stone walls on either side of the avenue. So here's I did a blow up of just that area so you can see what we're talking about. I don't know how easy it is to see. So when these guys talk about being behind stone walls and being behind fences, these are stone walls and fences that have absolutely nothing to do with the place where the stone walls and the fences are today. Isn't it a little bit troubling? Okay, we do have some photographs. I don't have a really high resolution version of this photograph to show you in my show today. Last week in the East Cemetery Hill show, I showed one from the Evergreen Cemetery Gatehouse, and way in the background you can see Oak Hill. And in this one, if you look at a high resolution version of it, Oak Hill appears between the Lyceum Hall and the President's House. That's the hill. And the college has a real good version of this. I've never gone there and tried to make a great version of it. So at least we can get an idea from this side what it looks like. We do have this map from the history of the 97th New York, Isaac Hall. And I'm a big fan of the history of the 97th New York. Let's see. And in it, there's this map, and there's a discussion of what this map means in it. He even goes so far as to get an affidavit from William Gwynn of Gettysburg. He interviews him on July 1st, 1884. And according to the affidavit, that he bought the place which he now occupies on the crossroads years ago, and when he moved onto it, an old stone fence extended north and south just at the east end of his dwelling, continuing north nearly to the clump of bushes north of his house, about 10 paces east of the road fence. And Isaac Hall was obsessed with the idea that, hey, the area we fought looks nothing like it did at the time of the battle. Someone put in a lane, somebody removed the fence from which our unit was behind, someone put two houses up, and he describes this in his account and tries to show what it looks like. But for whatever reason, no one has ever taken the time to understand or read his stuff when they talk about this battle. It's in a book. He says, this wall was what is termed a single wall built of boulders and had grapes in it where it had tumbled in, gaps in it, gaps, that's why I have this, where it tumbled down.
Now
it extended along
the
west of a scattering tree or strips of woods, which the undergrowth then so termed, nearly to the road, to a point where there was a jog to the west of about 20 yards and Forney's east line. From that point west of the jog, another wall began and extended northward to the road. So what he's trying to tell you, and what the War Department tried to do, is they put in two walls. Do you notice if you drive south from the Peace Light and you ride along a stone wall here, and then the stone wall picks up when you get on the other side of Robinson's Mine, on the other side of the road? So there are two different walls that do not connect. Of course, we can see by the terrain maps that they really didn't put these walls back in the same place that Isaac Hall was saying they are. So if we take Isaac Hall's map and we take the Warren map and then we put it on this overlay, these are what the fences kind of look like at the time. And the modern Park Road is coming down here on an angle. So they simply put a couple things. When Baxter's brigade comes up and can't be seen by Iverson's brigade, they are not on top of the ridge where the monuments are. They are down the ridge behind a wall. make a lot more sense from what you read about the battle? And there is another stone wall that comes out from the road, and at some point, Union troops are up there on the hill behind that fence. And then there's another fence that goes across the field that divides the attack of Iverson. Right. And according to the arguments between the 12th Massachusetts and the 97th in New York about the attack, when they make the charge, the 97th is south of this fence, and the 12th is north of that fence in the charge. So they're out here somewhere in that area. But again, we just wanted to point out that things are different today than they were at the time. Here is a map that was done in the 1890s that shows the area that the park has in mind, the War Department has in mind to build the avenues. And you might notice at the bottom, you see it says Reynolds Avenue, running up to the Mummersburg Road. And then, do you see that there originally was planned a Confederate Avenue that ran off from the Peace Light, ran along the McLean farm, and ran over to the area of Barlow's Knoll?
That'd be great.
They had a North Confederate Avenue planned, theoretically, which would run somewhere over to Jones Avenue, but it never made the cut. And then here is a part of a 1914 map, and I kind of made a copy of it and colorized it, that shows you down in the woods where the Robert Sheeds house is, and then out here in the field where the Gwynn house is, William Gwynn, and of course that's right in the middle of the upper end of the field of Pickett's Charge and Robert Sheeds. Robert Sheeds' house is eventually purchased by Penrose Myers, and then Penrose Myers is the one who runs the souvenir stand along Oak Ridge for many years. I know if you see on Facebook a while back, I did a whole post on the Oak Ridge souvenir stand. I'm obsessed with Penrose Myers. And his daughter actually ran the stand there into the 1940s. There was a souvenir stand on Oak Ridge. Let me look around. I don't think we have anyone here that could possibly have bought a postcard there.
The postcard is very hard to find.
Okay, the postcard of the souvenir stand sells for a lot of money.
Yes.
Sue Boardman had one in her shop up there. Some other guy was selling it, not her, but it was one of those stands. And it was like $60 they wanted for the postcard. You thought about buying it, right?
I haven't found one yet.
Yeah, but they have one up there.
Oh, I'm not going to.
I asked that if anybody bought us. Things I usually asked on my talks are, has anybody been in Big Round Top Tower? It closed in like 68. So I could date people by that. Or, a 1940 souvenir stand's not too, it could have some people, right? And then let me just tell you this. When I first became a tour guide, I won't tell you what year that was, but I gave a lecture on the Gettysburg electric trolley, and 2 people in the audience had ridden on the trolley. Wow. It closed in 1916. So, it can happen. That was probably my, oh my God. Okay. Okay, a couple more photographs before I'm going to take a break here coming up. And here is a photograph that was sold at an auction not too long ago. And this is a house. I think this might have been the original Robert Sheeds house, because this is north of the one that said R. Sheeds on that other map. So I think he had a house. The house was torn down by the War Department. They moved, and then he either moved the house or down the ridge, or they built a new house down the ridge. But this is the original, and you can see it's in back of the 11th Pennsylvania Monument, and this is like the dedication ceremony. This is owned by Al Ferranto. And I don't think I have a blow-up. Maybe I do have a blow-up of it. But there's the Sheeds house, and it says on a sign there that he sells grapes. Is anybody familiar with the fact that there's a North Carolina account? I read it in our North Carolina Iverson program last year, where one of the North Carolinians, maybe the 12th, a veteran comes back and says that there's a grape arbor near Iverson's pits and they're growing grapes out of the place where he thinks the graves are located. So Robert Sheeds, in the newspaper, it mentions that he makes his own wine and sells wine from bushes growing out of Iverson's
Kind of like the
pits.
Sherfy's peach orchard, yeah.
Yeah, that's almost as in line with